This is the most Christmas decorating that I've done. I put up the stocking that I did with my roommate from St. Cloud, and I put a sign for Santa to remember where my fireplace is. But that's because all of this is going to change next week. Mom and I are doing a renovation. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. I am Britt, and if you haven't subscribed yet, you probably should, because I talk about geeky things. And today, now it's Monday, so we're obviously... It's Monday, so we're obviously doing a Beast Morphers episode review. This is Beast Morphers Season 2, Episode 20. I don't remember the name of it. Crunch time. I write it down for a reason, okay? If you guys want to skip the full episode recap, you can do so by clicking this timestamp right here or clicking the chapters down below. And let's just get down to it. So we open this episode with Ben and Betty being actually just rock climbing as teachers, because apparently they know how to rock climb. So they're teaching others how to rock climb, and they're actually using carabiners and all that stuff, the things that Zoe didn't use in a previous episode. So that was last week, wasn't it? Well done. So Simon Bennett directed this episode, and Simon Bennett's much better at his job than other directors. So that gives me hope with him as the showrunner, just saying. The real Blaze comes by and gives the Rangers a piece of robotic technology. And it became clear that it was actually a memory disk of the Robo Roxy. So now Ben and Betty get to try and be funny by handling the piece of machinery and dropping it, and then they end up actually being tied together by their carabiners and rope, and they run after it, and they end up tripping all of their students with the rope, because, you know, slapstick is always funny regardless of how it is delivered. Slapstick is just always funny. It's not. Nate and Devin take the machinery back to the lab, and the other two Rangers actually go. Steele is not in this scene, so we're just gonna ignore the fact that Steele is not there. Anyway, the other two Rangers, as in Zoe and Ravi, go in search of more leftover pieces of Roxy after she exploded last week. So they go off to find that stuff, while, like I said, Nate and Devin and Steele hang out the lab and try to bring up some information that might help them from Roxy's memory banks. Turns out that nothing is helpful, and it ends up being useless. A Robotron is detected, and Devin goes running off. He tells Nate and Steele to stay behind and focus on the machinery and see if there's anything else useful. He goes off with Cruz to meet the other two Rangers. The other two Rangers get there first. They, for some reason, don't morph, but they fight the monster and the Tronics, and they're not doing well. So why they don't morph, I don't know, but it's fine. Well, fine. This is when Blaze comes running in to help them, and so it's, you know, again, the real Blaze. And so I love it. It's so good. So the real Blaze comes to help them, and he ends up getting hurt in his arm. His arm gets hit by Tronic and ends up being injured. So he ends up needing to go and get... Anyway, then Devin finally shows up late. The Rangers finally morph, and they defeat the Robotron by guiding him out, and then somehow they're able to defeat him because of that. Sentai footage, it's fine. They're asking, you know, how Blaze's arm is. He says it's just a scratch, not to worry, he'll just throw a bandage on it and call it a day. And then he starts in on Cruz, because Cruz is the reason why Devin was late to the fight. Apparently Cruz got lost, and Blaze starts in on him, and then as Devin tries to defend him, Blaze pulls Devin to the side and says, a real leader needs to be tough. When I was going through Ranger training, that was what I was taught, was to be tough. You need to be tougher on these people, on these Rangers, or else you're never going to defeat Evox. So Devin thinks, yeah, you know what? You're right. It's time to be tough. So he starts trying to act a little tougher. It's at this point that I'm starting to pick up on something. Blaze and Devin decide to do some training together, and then Devin invites him to go into planning on how to defeat Evox. And so they go into the lab and they are both briefed on everything. And Blaze comes up with a plan to defeat Evox. And it's really dangerous. The Beast Bots are thinking this isn't gonna work. They want to essentially guide him into the hangar and defeat this Zord that he is creating. How they know they're creating a Zord, he's creating a Zord, I don't actually know if that was ever indicated in the episode, but you know, it's fine. But they were going to try and lure him into the hangar and then defeat the Zord and then teleport him into a force field. The Beast Bots were explaining how this is not a good idea for the Zords, this is not a good idea for them, that this could actually be quite dangerous for them, and Blaze just keeps at it until Devin agrees, and the others all agree because Devin is the leader, so they all go with the plan. The force field is created and Ben and Betty end up being funny again by getting trapped inside of the force field and then trying to shoot their way out only to essentially be singed by their own weapons. And these people thought that Betty was going to become a Power Ranger. Like, the fans. There were legitimately fans out there that thought she was going to become a Power Ranger. The Rangers go to carry out their plan. They get into their Zords and they meet up with a Giga Drone that actually has Evox inside of it because Evox now has a Zord of his own. Doesn't last long, but we'll get there. The Rangers start the fight and they get him into the hangar and they end up really injuring the Beast Bots. Specifically, Cruz gets severely injured during this whole ordeal. But they do end up blowing up the Zord. And they are essentially blowing up their own Megazord as well, it seems. As though we got 2 episodes left, so we'll see. But I don't know. Man, I don't know. But yeah, so then Cruz gets carried away by some medics to go get fixed up, and they're able to find Evox. They're able to teleport him into the force field, and they seemingly have won this fight until they get to where Evox is, and Evox is just kind of standing there, not saying anything, not doing anything. And then Blaze comes in and he keeps at it on Cruz. And this is finally when Devin says, enough is enough. And he finally stands up for everyone and says that Blaze is being an asshole. And not in that many words, because obviously this is a kid show on Nickelodeon. They can't use those words, but actually I don't think you could say asshole on television yet. Anyway. And so yeah, so there you go. It is then that Devin gets a mysterious call from Blaze, who is in Japan at a karate tournament, which we knew at the very beginning that he was on his way, but Blaze said he had stopped, he'd left because he felt like this was far more important than some karate tournament in Japan. So Ravi goes and pulls off the bandage to reveal Blaze isn't actually Blaze. It's Robo Blaze. This entire time it's been Robo Blaze. So Robo Blaze teleports out and they still have Evox, and then they realize that Evox wanted to be captured. And that's where the episode ends. So there you guys have it. 3rd to last episode of Power Rangers Beast Morphers, and we're kind of in an interesting place. So let's talk about what I liked and what I didn't like about this particular episode. I actually really liked it. You know, Simon Bennett is really proving himself as a director, so I'm very interested to see how he runs the show as a showrunner. And as of yesterday, he actually posted on Twitter, or at least I saw it yesterday, posted on Twitter that he is convinced, that he is confident that they are creating a stellar season of Power Rangers right now. And I want to believe that. I really, really do. So I have a lot of faith in Simon Bennett at this point. At least I do until he proves me otherwise. So let's just... I mean, I'm sure I can look back at some episodes that he directed and probably complain the heck out of them. But for the most part, the ones that I know he directed, I've actually been quite a fan of. But in particular, I really liked what they did with Blaze in this particular episode. I felt like this is something they could have done a long time ago, and something that should have been done a long time ago. But the fact that it was done now actually works as well. I mean, it doesn't matter when they do it, but they could only do it once. So I suppose if they're going to choose to do it, I guess close to the finale is a great time to do it. But the whole concept of mistaken identity is really great, and especially because we do have an evil twin of Blaze running around, and it's a good idea. It actually had me fooled for a hot second. It had me fooled until he got his arm injured, because I remember writing down Blaze's arm gets hurt, because I thought if that's important, I want to write that down. But why would that be important? Why did they make that such a point in that one moment? And not the asking him how his arm is later, the actual hurting of his arm. I was thinking, why was that important? Why would they make that important? And as I thought about it, as that scene progressed, and I thought about it and thought about it and thought about it, it occurred to me that that was RoboBlaze. That's why. Is eventually they're going to see that injury and they're going to see circuits and wires. They're not going to see blood. It became clear to me that that was the plan, and once that became clear to me, I was watching this episode very diligently to find other clues that it wasn't really Blaze, and they did a really good job at hiding it. And I feel like a kid would have been surprised at that twist ending. I feel like maybe even a teenager, or maybe even a lot of people would have been fooled about that. Maybe I just wasn't, because, you know, this really expensive piece of paper that taught me how to look critically at literally everything. So, I don't know. I mean, that's literally what my degree is in, is looking at the subtext of everything, looking at the subtext of writing, looking at everything on the screen, the mise en scène, if you will, if I need to sound pretentious, there we go. But, you know, looking at all of that and realizing things that may not be revealed right away. So maybe, I mean, I was also taught in an entire class that you can figure out the end of a movie within the first 15 minutes. So it is very possible that I noticed it because of that. So let me know in the comments below if you figured it out, if you figured out that Blaze was actually RoboBlaze, and when you figured it out. At what point was the aha moment for you? My aha moment was when his arm got injured, because I was so fixated on why that's going to be important. Because every time something happens in Power Rangers, I always think about, why is that important? Something's very menial, like somebody getting injured, or like the suitcases falling off the trolley or the cart, whatever it was, in the episode where Nate's parents come to visit. I fixate on those things because I'm trying to think about why they're going to be important. But yeah, so I thought the whole storyline with Blaze really did do well. I felt like it was really, really good. And honestly, probably one of the better storylines we've seen the entire Beast Morphers season. The entire series of Beast Morphers. Minus the sing and dance, because I really, really loved that. I really like how they're building to this end. I have no idea what's going to happen next, and I love that. You know, a lot of times in Power Rangers, you can kind of get an idea of how they're going to end the season by how they're building up to it. And at this point, I have no idea why Evox wanted to be captured, or why Blaze got Evox captured. Maybe Blaze got Evox captured and he wants to be in charge. He wants to be the ruler. He wanted Evox to be destroyed. I don't know. It's going to be a very interesting next couple of episodes as we end Power Rangers Beast Morphers. I can't believe we're 2 episodes away. Like, that is astounding to me. That's wild. And I'm very excited to see where we go from here, where that's concerned. But I felt like this build to an end was actually really well done. I really enjoyed it. You know, it's not very often that I do say anything really about shots. I feel like there are a lot of shots that are really well done in Power Rangers. A lot of the shots that were really well done were the Disney era shots. I feel like Saban/Judd Lin has never really cared much about shots or how shots can affect people. I mean, you take RPM, for example, which I know Judd Lin did run half of RPM. I understand that. However, Eddie left halfway through, and so a lot of the creation had already been done by the time Judd Lin took over. He just took the story in a different direction at the end than I think Eddie was going to. But at the end of the day, you know, you look at RPM and they took very close care about the shots, about what you saw on the screen, about the mise en scène. If I want to sound pretentious, literally translates to what's on screen. It's fine. One day I'll talk about it on this channel. If you guys want me to talk about mise en scène and what that means and all that stuff, let me know in the comments below. You know, they took care about that. They took care about whether they were in the domed city or whether they were not in the domed city, and they were out in the wastelands, and the colors, the filter of the camera changed. And that was really cool. And so, like I said, Disney did a really good job about framing and about what was on the screen, about the mise en scène. And oh, it's not pretentious. Oh my God, how many times is that gonna get annoying? Anyway, but I feel like Saban and his team has never really cared much about that. They've never really looked at that as anything important, because it's a kid's show, like why care? But it is important. And that shot at the very end of this episode, that shot of Evox was glorious. I loved that shot. It was a beautiful shot. And Simon Bennett, we want more of that in Dino Fury. Please make it look a little bit more like the Disney seasons, because I beg of you, I want good shots. But that particular shot was beautiful and I loved it. Now something I love so much. I kind of wish they would have dialed Blaze back a little bit. I felt like at some point it became just too obvious, at least for me. Just became too obvious that it wasn't the real Blaze at some point. And maybe it was because I figured it out kind of early on in the episode, but I feel like they could have dialed it back a little bit. He didn't have to be such a jerk. Granted, he was a jerk in the very first episode because we weren't supposed to like him as the Red Ranger. We were supposed to like Devin. So it kind of ties back to who he was in the very first episode. But even that, Blaze wasn't that much of a jerk. So I feel like they could have dialed that back a little bit. Very nitpicky, very tiny. And then my normal complaint of just Ben and Benny not being funny. Truth of the matter is, slapstick does not always equal good comedy. Slapstick always equals easy comedy. It always equals what professionals call dumb comedy, and that does not mean people who like it are dumb. It just means that there's a lot less thinking that needs to be done to find it funny, where witty humor, dry humor, that kind of thing is more smart comedy, in the sense of sometimes it takes a little bit more thought. It takes more of a second to really get the joke or get the humor. But generally, slapstick, potty humor, sex humor, those are all things that are just inherently funny, and so they're considered dumb humor. And again, it does not mean people who like that kind of humor are dumb. Not by a long shot. I know a lot of incredibly intelligent people that love that kind of comedy. It's just the basic title of the type of comedy. Slapstick just fits in that term of comedy. And so when you get into that mindset that doesn't matter where the execution lands or how the execution is done or how it's delivered, it's just gonna be funny, and that's not entirely true. And I don't mind slapstick. I enjoy slapstick. It's probably the only real dumb comedy I like. I don't like potty humor and I don't like sex humor as much, but slapstick I can, if done well, really, really enjoy. But the problem is that Ben and Betty, their actors don't know how to land slapstick well. And that is not meant to be a slam on them. I've said that many, many times. I don't think they're bad actors. I think they're very green. But I think they've got a lot of potential of being really, really great. And I'm sure they're wonderful people. But the truth of the matter is, and this is coming from somebody who feels the exact same way about myself, I can't do comedy well. I've never been able to do comedy well. I can't do physical humor. I can't do slapstick. Like, that is just not a thing that my brain can do properly. So when I say that I don't like their sense of humor or the where they land their slapstick, that is also saying that I couldn't do it either. So again, it's not a slam on them. I've been acting literally pretty much my entire life. I started when I was like 5. So if I can't do it either, and I'm not exactly a green actor, they can't, it's just, I don't know, they're just not good at that type of humor. And I don't know if it's necessarily the writing or maybe the directing or their acting. It's a little combination of all of that. I don't find Ben and Betty funny, but I also have not found, ever since, I would say, when was the last time I found a comedic duo funny? Devin and Cassidy is probably the last time I found a comedic duo funny. And that's even saying that Paul Schreier wasn't funny, you know, because he just didn't have a good actor to play off of in Samurai. So, you know, that's the last time in Power Rangers I found a comedic duo funny. And so it's also a very long-standing issue that I have just with the comedic duos in Power Rangers to begin with. So there you go. But yeah, so that's how I feel about this episode of Power Rangers Beast Morphers. For the most part, it was actually a really good episode. See, I don't always complain, you guys. I sometimes have good things to say about these episodes. Let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of this episode. Did you guys like it? Did you guys not like it? How hopeful are you that Simon Bennett is taking over Power Rangers since this episode was directed by him? Let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of this particular episode and what you guys think about Simon Bennett in the comments below. And I will see you guys all next week or on Thursday with a new video. If you guys want to see the last Beast Morphers video I did, you guys can click right here. If you guys want to see all the Beast Morphers videos I've ever done, you guys can click right here. It covers most of season 1, all of season 2 so far. If you guys want to subscribe, you can click right here to do that. Please hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss any of my videos. Like this video if you liked it, and comment down below the things I told you to comment below a little bit earlier. And I'll see you guys all next time. Bye.